The price of Bitcoin is holding that $58,000 range, and I'm going to explain why. Of course, this zone is very strong support area. Now, on the previous live stream, we were talking about the possibility of this being an ABC. It was the highest probability that the price was going to get that leg down to test the lows. But overall, looking for that double bottom scenario and speculate, hey, what if the price does reverse and we do get a bump and run pattern playing out? So obviously your best entry was getting into that double bottom. Now we exactly hit that low right over there, as you can see on the chart. Now, are we going to see that recovery? Well, something interesting is that we do have a CME futures gap. We're going to talk about all of this, guys, in today's episode, the different scenarios that we could expect in between today and tomorrow. So make sure to stay tuned till the very end. Now, before we get started, guys, my favorite exchange is Bybit. It is the #1. It's been over 5 years in the game. You have an incredible bonus down below with the link in the description. Check it out, guys. If you cannot trade on Bybit, I would suggest bluffing. It is the best no KYC platform. Just with an email and a password, you can start trading, and you have the biggest bonus to claim down below. So let's dive in right away into the pure technical analysis. There's so many different scenarios: the bearish one, the bullish one, what level needs to hold, what level needs to get the rejection, what do we need to break, right? It's just so many things to talk about, guys. Make sure to stay tuned. On yesterday's video update, we talked about several scenarios, the bullish one as well, the double 1-2. This obviously did not happen. This was the highest probability scenario that this was a ABC structure, and we were going to get that leg down here from the $60,000 range all the way to test below $58,000 again. Now, this had a relatively good move of around about $2,000 to the downside. I'm not sure if you guys traded this, but after this movement down, looking at the speculation of, hey, we could double bottom from that low, start getting a bounce and looking for that consolidation. Now, this was mentioned in detail for a setup in the Legends trading community. We always give that possibility of the setup, right? Looking for that level to be hit. Obviously, we are hitting the VWAP as well. So the VWAP is a good take profit zone. Let me just explain how that bounce that we've had on the lower time frames was hitting the VWAP yesterday, already getting a bounce of over $1,000 from that swing failure pattern. VWAP is always going to give that intraday resistance, and it's always a level to take some profit if you're doing some day trading and scalping setups. However, this is the kind of long position that you want to maintain some open, because what if the price does start recovering from here in the next coming hours, potentially in between today and tomorrow, and we do get that bump and run scenario, playing out? We do have that CME futures gap right over here that has to be filled at $61,800. Now, the CME futures gap from the last few months, all of them have been filled. Obviously, because we are in a big range, well, obviously you will have to come to the conclusion that all of the gaps are going to get filled, right, in a range. So all of them have been filled during the last few weeks. So you would say, okay, there's a high chance that this CME gap is going to get filled. Now, the question is, if this gap is filled, will that be a successful bump and run breakout? Because if the price does manage to come up here in the next coming hours and we do reach to fill the gap, now there is a situation here. We do have a lot of resistance exactly at $61,800. Why, you may ask? Well, when you fill a gap, a lot of the times you just fill the gap and you get the reversal. We had this gap here from the first week of August that was filled, and we got a major pullback. So we need to consider, hey, maybe the gap can get filled and then get a severe pullback. Well, there is some confluence at that level, and that is a naked point of control. When we do take a look at the price action that was formed on Tuesday, okay, we formed that naked point of control in that day, that high volume node from this consolidation that we had before the major drop. So that naked point of control is sitting at $61,700, just as we're filling the gap. there is a possibility of a rejection. I would even say a local swing failure pattern from this lower high, have an attempt in breaking that naked point of control, and then getting the pullback. When we do take a look at Fibonacci from the high to the low, we do have the 618, which is exactly from this lower high before we got the major drop. So this area is going to be very interesting. I do believe that if we were to break out from this lower high resistance trend line, yes, it will be looking quite punchy. I do think that a major rally of a couple of $1,000s could happen, but I'm in doubt that the price could really break out as a successful bump and run without getting a first pullback zone, right? And that pullback zone is pretty obvious. It is filling the gap. It is hitting that naked point of control from the 27th of August. It's the 618 where we do have, slightly above the naked point of control. It's the first lower high before the major liquidation event that we've had. So it's going to be a very interesting zone here in between 61,800 and 62,200. That area is going to be very, very disturbing. I think we could get very much some choppiness, right? We could have some local double tops and a major rejection from that point. However, we are still very much bearish, right? This is all being, very, very ambitious in saying that we are going to get that breakout, right? Having a bit of hopium, right? At the end of the day, we are still very much downtrending, and maybe this reversal is just not going to happen, right? And we are just going to get some resistance here, and then we are going to get the movement to the downside, right? I need to stay real here. We are speculating on the possible reversal. I mean, if you did get that entry on the double bottom, I would definitely leave some open because this could turn out into an epic trade if you do get that successful breakout, right? Getting a move of over $4,000 or $5,000 potentially in the next coming days. Now, what would be a successful breakout here? Well, obviously, the previous day highs, guys, the session volume profile, when we do take a look at it, we know that the previous day highs is right over here, right? It was this movement that we got slightly above $60,000, right? If we do break above the previous day highs, that would obviously bring the breakout from this lower high resistance trend line, and then we are looking at a possible successful bump and run. Now pay attention here, because if you do get that pullback, it might be very quick. You're looking at the previous day high to flip as support very, very quickly. It might be a move that happens in a matter of minutes, okay? Now we want that high volume breakout above previous day highs and the lower high resistance trend line to see if this bump and run is going to happen. You get that breakout, you want to be ready. Of course, getting into a breakout trade for me is not the best. I would rather look for the double bottom scenario here. Like mentioned yesterday, you got your stop loss beneath the low, and you got an insane projection obviously for the next coming days. Now this was as mentioned on yesterday's live stream also, right? Hey, this is actually a good swing long trade. Now, if we were to analyze this local situation and say that we do get the breakout from this lower high resistance trend line, by the way, if you did enter that trade down here, I would obviously be defensive, right? This is a free trade that you could have right now, not getting stopped out, obviously, if we were to roll down, all right? This is a trade that should be defended already, right? It's a free trade running. Now, going to this scenario, I'm not much of a breakout trader because I'm very much aware of fake outs. But if we were to get that breakout, you would want to see the previous day highs maintaining our support. If you break out successfully from the trend line and you're coming down here to kind of do a quick back test, your stop loss, you need to give it a little bit of room. You need to be aware of a fake out. But overall, I would be quite ambitious. I would be looking for the CME futures gap fill. Okay, that is without a doubt a target zone. Of course, looking at it like this, it doesn't look like a very good risk to reward. I mean, it's at least a 2-to-1. So you would have to actually speculate that the trend is breaking out, all right? It's shifting and you are moving up. And yeah, possibly you could leave some open just in case the price gets punchy and we're just reversing all the way back up to $65,000. I know it sounds unreal, guys, but overall, bump and run can definitely surprise you and you can get a full reversal, okay? You just need to manage risk and know exactly where to enter and have your invalidation points. Now, let's look at the possibilities of the price of, okay, what if the price does roll down from here, right? What if it rolls down? And if you did get into that short trade, obviously you need to take profit at the low, guys. So this was mentioned on yesterday's video update, right? If you're entering here, give or take, your stop loss needs to be a few $100s. I was waiting for that high to be claimed. This does not happen. I know some people already jumped into the short, in the live stream. So overall, managing risk, your take profit is at the lows. That is pretty clear. So what if the price does roll down from here, right? We're just forming lower highs. This is speculating on a reversal. Understand that the trend is to the downside, right? And if you want to get into any long, you want to get into a double bottom, right? You don't want to jump into longs, into resistance here, speculating that breakout is going to happen, because we are very much downtrending for the last few days. And if we do get that breakdown, now the question is, hey, will we get a successful break down? And this is a no trade zone that I'm going to explain right away. What is a no trade zone? Well, this box right over here. Now, we did not test previous week lows. Previous week lows were not tested by a few dollars after getting that double bottom scenario. We can see here how the previous day lows, obviously from previous Monday, was not tested by a few dollars, right? So it is very disturbing. This is the only level that I would consider a triple bottom, right? If we were to roll down, I would consider a possibility of a triple bottom, just because previous week lows hasn't been tested, and previous week highs and lows, they are massive resistance or support in this case, if we do have it below. So I need to consider the possibility of a triple bottom here, right? I would be very much interested in re-entering a long position if we do get that wick down, because this has not created the swing failure pattern from the previous week lows. I am considering that scenario. But why this box would be a no trade zone? Because if we do break down successfully and we do not recover from previous week lows, there is a big gap here with hardly any support at all. Now, when we do take a look at the dailies, okay, we do have an untapped daily level, which is slightly below the previous week lows. So this is also why we consider a possible triple bottom, okay? And without a doubt, this is actually a good support range when we do take a look at the channel that we do have from the last few weeks, right? We can see here, let me just clear the chart here a little bit. We can see how those higher highs, right, higher lows, okay, are getting the bounce. This is where we are reacting. So we need to give another chance for the bulls to actually step in here for that triple bottom, all right? So it's something I'm really considering. So we got that daily level. We also have that previous week low right over there. This is actually a good level of support. If we do break down successfully and we maintain the price action beneath the level, I do believe that this low right over here is going to be tested. Okay, now is this a good swing failure pattern level? I would be very, very, very cautious. I do think that that level could be tested and we could even go to lower levels, guys. This is really a dangerous zone, a dangerous low for a swing failure pattern. There is really not that much confluence. It is a higher time frame pivot low, and we could get a reaction without a doubt. Okay, a higher time frame pivot low. We know there is liquidity resting always on a higher time frame pivot low or pivot high, but I'm just really skeptical on the price actually getting a successful swing failure pattern that might be worth it, even for a scalp. Because I think if the price does break down here from that pivot low created on the 15th of August, it could get pretty aggressive. There is another pivot low that I prefer a swing failure pattern, and this is this pivot right over here from the 7th of August. That kind of the first higher low on the higher time frames that we formed, okay, on the 7th of August, which is sitting at $54,500. Now, when we do get the Fibonacci retracement from the pivot low here over the 5th of August to the pivot high here from last Monday, we do have the 618, the golden pocket that has not been tested, obviously, from this rise. That is exactly where we have this higher low pivot, okay? So it's very interesting that that level could maintain our support. There is also an untapped daily level at that level, okay, at $54,900. Now, this is very interesting, right? Golden pocket, 61865. There is a nice range. Preferably the best setup is obviously claiming the low, a liquidity grab and just look for jumping into that long position. Now, this level could get a significant bounce without a doubt. All right, it's going to be very difficult, obviously, as we come down to that level. What are going to be the target zones? Obviously, the VWAP is always a first take profit one if you are scalping, okay? VWAP, okay, the volume weighted moving average is always an intraday resistance that could be a take profit zone if you're looking for that liquidity grab swing failure pattern. Just a little bit of higher time frame scenarios, guys. I'm still very much looking at this huge, massive support, higher low support. Okay, trend line, we do have the previous week lows. We do have, this double bottom. We got the bump and run speculation that could happen. We got the CME futures gap that could be filled right over here. All right, and if we do fill the gap, well, obviously, we could consider that, hey, maybe this bump and run is going to happen and we're coming back above to $65,000 in the next coming days, right? Let's analyze the local situation. I'm very much understand that this is bearish momentum, guys. This has just been a little bit, having a little bit of hopium that we could get that bump and run pattern. Obviously, if you did enter that double bottom, as said on the previous live stream, you're in a good position and protected. You're in a free trade right now. So this could turn out very, very well in the next coming days. Guys, if you want more details, you know where to find us. We have the Legends trading community where we do post every single day, consistent updates, me and the rest of the coaches giving you the possible setups and scenarios that we are looking for. Obviously, no financial advice, guys. You've got the first link down below in the description if you want to join, okay, the Legends trading community on Discord. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.